right, welcome back for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those cheap boxes that you can go and scoop up this weekend when you go hunting for some of that stuff based off of the recent news, announcements, things going on in the comics, etc. Sorry I didn't get this out last night, but I'm a little under the weather, so I'm a little behind, but got it out today. And make sure you guys stick around and come back at 9 p.m. for the live Mail Call Madness show with Jedi and Dom, as they got some fun stuff going on tonight. So join them in the live chat for some more shenanigans. And with that, if you want to see what books I do have for you this week, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so for this week, I do got a few things for you, mixing up a little bit of Marvel, a little bit of DC. We'll go back and forth for a little bit, and we are going to start off with the Marvel side of things. This week, there was the note about yet another return of the Ultimate Universe. So it looks like Brian Hitch and Jonathan Hickman are bringing the Ultimate Universe back, and that's going to spotlight not only Miles, but also the Maker, who is an underrated version of Reed Richards. Like, Reed Richards is could be one of the more villainous characters in the Marvel universe when you look at all that he is capable of. I know Rick and Morty kind of play around with that idea a little bit as well, so it is kind of an interesting take. And the Ultimate Universe of Reed Richards is the Maker, as you all know by now. And if you didn't know, well, his first appearance, and you're not finding Dollar Bin, because his first appearance is this book. And you already know this book, because this is the first appearance of Miles Morales. So it gets forgotten about that. This is also technically the first appearance of Reed Richards as the Maker within this issue here. As you can see, again, this could be debated and argued over which one comes before what, because he doesn't actually call it. It could be a headache. But by and large, this is the look of the Maker when he kind of embraces that kind of villainous side of himself. And you could look at this, but you're not finding this for $1. I just wanted to point this out. So if you're curious of looking for the first Maker, this is one that a lot of people gravitate towards. But again, it's overshadowed by the fact that it's the first appearance of Miles Morales. That said, it still is Reed Richards. So you could say, well, it's technically Fantastic Four #1 way back in the 60s. But if you don't want to go that far, you can say, well, it's a different version of Reed Richards. But even that different version of Reed Richards is also Fantastic Four #1, but not from the 1960s, but Ultimate Fantastic Four #1, which you can easily find. There are tons of these out there. Tons of these out there. The Ultimate Universe was no secret. They were not shy about printing these new series. So don't get it twisted. There are plenty of these out there. That said, it does it okay. I mean, you can see some kind of crazy pricing here going on, but it's still relatively cheap. So if you want that first Maker, you could find it, and I suggest you go and take a look for it because, yeah, a lot of $4 and best offers on $7. There's some lots. There's tons of lots that you can get them in as well, and even the CGC 98, $150. That ain't too bad when you consider this could potentially be a dollar book, and you can get high grade in dollar books too because this has that thicker, almost like a glossy cardstock cover. So yes, if it gets damaged, it's probably gonna be damaged and it's not gonna be fixable. But it was also being a glossy, thicker cardstock cover. It'd be a little bit more resistant to easy damage. As long as it's just stored in a box, it's a good chance it's hanging in there. But we shall see. We shall see what you can find out there. And if you're looking on the market, again, prices are kind of all over the place. Yeah, there's people asking $10 to $20 for this book because it's the first Maker. But there's still plenty of $2 copies out there as well, even online. So lots of copies. I'm not telling you to pay any of these market prices. I'm saying just go grab one for $1 or less in a cheap box because I don't think you can go wrong here. And who knows? Maybe you can get 10 or $20 consistently down the line. But it's probably gonna be a tough ride because again, there's a lot of competition for this book because there's a lot of copies. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go and grab it for yourself if you don't have one for cheap because they are out there. Now, let's go shift over to DC now. We're gonna bounce back and forth as we go through this. On the DC side of things, yes, we are still getting the Blue Beetle movie. And yes, Susan Sarandon's character is going to be the villain in that movie. She's a Cord. She's Ted Cord's sister. And we see her first in this book. This is Blue Beetle Graduation Day #2. This is a semi-recent book. This only came out a few months ago. So more than likely you can still find this at your shop for cover. Not necessarily in a dollar box yet, but I don't know how quickly your shop moves stuff from overstock to like the cheap boxes, whether it be half cover, $2 box, dollar box, or whatever kind of discount program they might have for older books, if they have it at all. I don't know what your shop does. So I'm saying it's a possibility, but this is still only a few months old. So there's a good chance it might still just be on the shelf for cover. But it's up to you whether you're interested in it or not. But it is the first appearance of the character that's going to be the villain in the movie, and that is Victoria Cord, who's again the big sister. Oh, big sister of Ted Cord. She didn't exist before, but well, they're working her in now. So she's in the movie. She's now in the comics. Go ahead, take a look for it. And like I said, this is still pretty much a cover book, so it's a stretch to put it in here, but it's just one of those things. I figured, you know what? I'll tell you guys about it anyway, because you never know. I don't know what your shop has. Again, like I said, I don't know their policies or how they run their boxes or their business. So there's a chance you can find it for cheap. Because again, it's only a cover price book. You even see recent sales, $4, under $4 at $3.39. That's like cover price. Asking prices, $5 to $6. There's also a couple of covers on this as well, but again, it's not a pricey book. Now, another one you might still be able to dig out of those boxes. Could be tougher because, I mean, Blue Beetle has been spec'd on for years now. Like years, people have been grabbing those Infinite Crisis books. But doesn't mean you should forget about them. So keep an eye out for them because, once again, they were not lightly printed. There were lots of copies. I've found these plenty of times in the dollar bins and will still probably find them when I go digging again because they're still out there. And the first one we want to talk about is Infinite Crisis number 3. This one kind of gets overlooked because he's not on the cover and he's also not Blue Beetle yet. But Infinite Crisis 3 is the first appearance of Jamie Reyes, who becomes the Blue Beetle. And you can see it very clearly inside this book. There he is. I mean, you call it what you want. You want to call it a cameo. You want to call it, well, it's his first Jamie Reyes, but it's not Blue Beetle. It's not the same thing. I don't care. I'm not here to argue semantics with you. I'm just telling you what's inside the guts of this book. And inside the guts of this book is Jamie Reyes finding the Blue Beetle scarab. That's what you get in this book. So know that's what you're buying. And like I said, it usually gets overlooked, this number 3. Again, there's multiple covers. There's a second print as well. But just general numbers so you know what you're looking at. This still can be $4 to $10. Not super duper expensive. You're not going to get rich, but it's a book you can go and look for. And maybe you can find. Asking prices. Well, there are some looking to get rich because look, there's some $13 sales. Pretty fair. Or up to $50. So somebody's looking for up to $50 for this book. So who knows if we'll ever get there. But cover yourself now and go look for it in a cheap box because don't forget this book. Don't overlook this book because everybody likes the next book more so because he's on the cover and he's got the suit and all that stuff. But this is first Jamie Reyes, so just keep an eye out for it. Doesn't hurt. And as I said, we're talking about, I think Jamie shows up again in issue 4, maybe for a cameo a bit or whatever. But then issue 5 is the one that everybody gravitates towards. Granted, the Superman cover is there. He's not on there. Everybody prefers the Jim Lee, which I do as well. I mean, apart from the fact that it's a Jim Lee cover, it's got Blue Beetle right there, front and center. So that is the one folks like better for this. But as I showed you, he showed up before it. Granted, not as Blue Beetle, but the character, Jamie Reyes, was here before. 2 issues already. But issue 5, this thing sold for like $50 now. $50 raw, $100 for, what is that, a 9.6? $100 for 9.6. Again, glossy, thicker cardstock cover, so same rules apply for condition. If it gets damaged, it's going to be tough to save it. So, but there's also a good chance it's still in good shape. On the market, what do we got? You see the Superman cover? Asking under $20. The B cover with Jim Lee and Blue Beetle on the front, they're asking $50 and $50. So you can see which cover people prefer, but it's the same book with that Superman cover, and I believe the second print is a black and white version of that Superman cover, so keep an eye out for that one as well. So there's your Blue Beetle stuff. Bouncing on back to Marvel. Marvel, what do we got? Well, recent issue of Deadpool. Deadpool number 4, Carnage is brought back. Well, let's say, the Carnage we all know and love. Yes, Carnage has been around. Carnage has had a series, a whole different character, took on the role of Carnage. But Cletus Cassidy Carnage is back in this issue of Deadpool number 4. And you can see him resurrected right here. So there he is. He's back. And this is probably leading into this Extreme Carnage event. I don't know if it's Extreme. I don't know what it's called, but there's another Carnage spider thing happening again this summer, I think. So another event, mini event of sorts is happening. in and around Carnage. So get on the train now if you want to start reading it to see where things are going. Now, reminder of Cletus Cassidy coming back. This brings back that old ASM. You should always be looking for this. I always look for it, even going back in the day. Issue 344. Eric Larson's run on Spidey, I think, is underrated. He was a welcome change to me from the McFarlane version. And yes, it's definitely more cartoony in style. Mark Bagley does this kind of style as well. But Eric Larson did a bang up job taking over Spidey for a good long while after McFarlane. And I like this run, especially right here in this range when we get Venom back again, because we got 344 and then 345 has a pretty cool Venom cover, or Venom's inside it too, and then 346. There's a few good Venom issues in that Larson run. You get that Venom Island stuff. And but here, 344, this is actually the first appearance of Cletus Cassidy. Not unlike our Jamie Reyes, he's not the character we all know and love. He's not the super version of himself. It's just regular old Cletus Cassidy here in issue 344, as he is the cellmate with Brock. Eddie Brock is there working out with Cletus, who is a serial killer, crazy, even drawn really weird. Yeah, now you see why they gave Woody that weird wig that first movie, and then thankfully they got rid of it by the sequel, because that would have been goofy. Not to say that the sequel is great, but it would have been a lot worse had Woody been wearing that wig. That said, Cletus Cassidy, first appearance here. And I think in the next issue, like I said, it's got the boomerang on the color yellow, and there's Venom inside. And then I think we see the little bit of Venom infect Cletus Cassidy. It was a slow build. I mean, this is 344. Carnage didn't fully show up until 361. That's a good long while. They slowly built towards this, as I said, with some of this prison stuff. You see Eddie break out. He left a little bit of symbiote behind, and it merged with Cletus. He became Carnage, who got teased in like 359 and 360 before showing up on that cover for ASM 361 that everybody wants. So remember all those issues too. But 344 is again first Cletus. So this book still does all right. 9/8 newsstands, $250. Raw, it's like $20, and you can see a 9/8. That's not a newsstand. It's only $150. So you're paying that newsstand bump. I don't know. It's a little dicey. I'm not a newsstand collector like that, but hey, you do what you got to do. Raw copies, $25, $36, $50, kind of all over the place. You'll do all right if you can find this for cheap enough, especially if you can find it in a dollar box or a cheap box. So just keep an eye out for it. Just remember the Rhino and the cardiac cover, and it's first Cletus. Now, also in this Deadpool run, and could be tying into where Carnage might be going, I don't know. The villain of the piece is this character called the Horror, if I'm saying her name right. The Horror. It's like the W's throwing me off. But she first appears in this Man-Thing, this Avengers Curse of the Man-Thing one shot, which again is also not that old, but you might find it tucked away in a discount box, overstock box. There's multiple covers on this thing as well, but front and center, right as you open the book, you're getting this first appearance of the Horror. Horror. I don't know why I'm having such trouble with this, but there she is, right there. And again, she's the current villain in that Deadpool run too. If you want to take it from the Cletus standpoint, then we got the angle. You can take it for what's going on in Deadpool right now. And she is the bad that they're working up against. I guess kind of a Poison Ivy type, I guess, of sorts. I don't know a lot about it. I didn't read this book. I'll freely admit that. I did not read this comic. I just know that she first appears in it. And I'll check it out eventually. But this book, as I said, $3. Best offer on $2, $1 online, and that's that pretty cool Gleason cover, which you get that as well. So look, it's even $1 sold for $1 online. So go check those boxes with multiple covers, and maybe you can get her first here. Asking prices are again, $3 to $4, $3 to $5, I guess you could say. So cover price is $4.99. So anything under $5, you're getting at a discount. Just saying. That's Marvel. Bounce it back to DC one more time before we move on. And we got a couple here with this DC one, because if you've been reading Catwoman, you know Catwoman's in prison, and then she's been replaced on the outside by somebody else taking up the Catwoman mantle. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but there's a new Catwoman running around while Selina is in prison. But while in prison, she is building her own team of superpowered vigilantes out of some of the bad guys that are, I guess, are in there with her. I guess building her own type of Suicide Squad of vigilantes. And one of the first recruits that she has, or I shouldn't say first, one of her recruits that she has in there is this character, Scorpiana. She First appeared in Grant Morrison's run on Batman, Batman 676. Granted, in this appearance, she's just in one panel. She's just in a group shot. It isn't, I think, more in the Batman Incorporated. We get a little bit more of her. And then a couple issues later of this in the Batman run, we get, again, a little bit more and build out her character. But here she is inside the guts of the book. She's there. She's one of these new characters in Dr. Hurt's like cadre of villains that he's building out here. Scorpiana is sitting right there in that chair, as you can see right there. So there's your first if you're looking for it. And this book is not super duper expensive. I mean, pretty awesome Alex Ross cover, I gotta say. $5 to $10. And considering it's, what is it, a $3 cover, I think? $5 to $10 ain't too bad. And again, if you can find it in an overstock box, because Batman, especially during the Morrison run, was also had a decent print run. People were reading it, people were liking it. So there are copies out there. Asking price $5, $7, $12. Again, it's not going to make you rich, but could be a nice little find if you find it. Another character she's recruited into her little vigilante group, I guess you could call it, is Lady Clay or Lady Clayface, whatever you want to call it. She's gone by a couple of different names, but Lady Clayface is another villain she's recruiting, I guess, to her side. And she first appeared in Outsiders number 21, the old school original Outsiders. I mean, there's been a few versions of this, but the original Outsiders run from Mike Barr and Jim Aparo gets our Lady Clay here. I don't believe she's going by that name in this book, but she's right here. It's part of the team, and she's throughout the story too. But you can see her there, kind of looking all melty. She looks a little bit like Cheetah when you look at it, just because of the way they drew the melty clay, I guess, dripping clay. But there she is, right there, right in the insides, right from Jump Street. And then, like I said, she's pretty much throughout the book too. This book, I only found one that sold, and it was the best offer on $7, so it's probably like $5. Once again, not a pricey book. Asking prices, a lot of $5 copies, and then you got some more expensive ones in more than the $15 range. But still, one of those books you can probably find this in a cheap box. I mean, not a lot of Outsiders collectors out there, right? So this is probably tucked in that DC box you just avoided for all this time. But now that people are looking at DC spec, you're now digging in those boxes too. Hey, it happens. This game is cyclical. Things come around. So while people might be soft on Marvel now because they're just not loving the last couple of years worth of movies, feel let down, feel a little burnt out, now everybody's looking towards DC. I don't know. It happens. Like I said, everything goes around. It cycles. Things cycle in and out. But we do have one more book for you. One more recruit for Catwoman's prison vigilante squad is this character called Vox. Doesn't have a lot of appearances. She hasn't showed up in a bunch. But her first is this pretty cool Joker cover on this Batman Arkham Asylum Tales of Madness #1. I don't know. I know it's a little, I don't know the word I'm looking for. But it's a little obscure. It's an odd little, but I kind of like it. It's a weird looking Joker cover, but it kind of jumps out at you. That said, not an expensive book. You could find this for cheap. I know you can. So go digging. Even copies online are only about $5, $6. So it's not expensive online either. Not telling you to buy it online, even though there's copies as cheap as $3 on my comic shop. It's like $3 to $9 online, but I'm sure you can find this in a dollar box out there because this is during the Cataclysm run on Batman. So Batman for a good long while also was very, very popular, and there were a lot of issues being printed following Nightfall and No Man's Land, Cataclysm, all that stuff. There was event after event. Batman just kept on rolling. But see if you can go find that book. So there's 3 first appearances for DC that you can go dig in those boxes. Again, I'm not telling you you're going to get rich finding any of these books. I'm just pointing out the market so you know what it is. And it's just some fun stuff. Just for a scavenger hunt game even. Just go look for them. It just gives you something to do while you're hunting those big books in the dollar bins. Maybe you find some of the silly stuff too. Just throw them in your pile and see what happens. Got one more for you. And this last one is back to Marvel. So with Marvel, we're going over to the X-Men side of things because this story here is teasing that a major X-Men villain is permanently changing the Marvel universe. I'm not going to get into it, but the character that they're referring to is Graydon Creed, Sabretooth's son. He technically first appears, if you go by date, I believe, in Strife's Strike File. And I know you've seen these out there. Tons of these things were printed. There's a gold version as well. I think that's the second print for this, but with the gold logo. But Strife's Strike File It's a collectible. It's just like a guidebook. It's not even a comic book, really. I mean, it is a comic book, but inside, and again, there's a Great and Greed insert, or and maybe not insert, but like an explanation. That's what it is. Like, this is it. It's almost like the back of a card. It's just giving you a character, giving you a little backstory, tells you all about them, and yeah, that's what it is. It's like a source book of sorts. So there he is. He appeared here before he appeared actually in story, I believe. So if you are interested, you can go and find this. It's not an expensive book, and you'll find plenty of them in the dollar box. Even online, dollar copies selling, $2 copies, and maybe the occasional $5 sale. Asking prices, well, $4 to $6, and then hey, look, a 9.8 for $75. I'm just saying that's where the market's at. There are a lot of these out there. If you find one for $1, you're probably gonna have a hard time selling it, even for $5. But who knows? Just go grab one for fun. I mean, it's kind of fun to flip through this stuff too. For that source book, you get a lot of characters, a lot of description, a lot of backstory, origin type stuff, and explanations. If there's characters you don't know much about, you can get information here. That said, if you don't like that because it's like a source book and it's like a preview, it's a cameo, whatever you want to call it, well, in story, then you probably want Uncanny 299. Right before 300, which is that hollow foil with all the X's, Bishop, John, JRR cover. I believe this is the last Kubert cover or Kubert art. But that all said, Uncanny 299. There's lots of these too. You'll find this. You'll find this in a dollar bin. You won't have a hard time. He first shows up, but not really there, but it's throughout the book. There's like a lot of, this is this TV show going on inside, and he is one of the guests. And you got here, I mean, Professor X is in there earlier. He's talking to him. I just picked this panel here because Beast is actually calling him out with Mr. Creed. So you know who we're talking about here in the green suit there on the screen. But it was like a whole TV show kind of thing was going on here. And, you know, Creed is kind of playing that, you know, humans first, down with the mutants, you know, that kind of angle. I mean, not unfamiliar. If you read X-Men throughout the last couple decades, I mean, it's not an unfamiliar story. There's always going to be that human backlash. No muties, all that stuff. So there you go. There's your Great and Creed first appearance here. And as I said, there's lots of them. So it's not hard to find. It's not that expensive either. Copy selling online for $1, $1.80. Those are some examples. Asking prices, again, $2, 9.6 for $60. It's not a pricey book. But if we ever do something with the character, who knows? You know how these things go. Everybody gets FOMO and starts rushing after these. So if you find it for like 50 cents or $1, hey, just grab it, put it in a box, save it, and who knows? And if worst comes to worst, nothing ever happens, well, you just threw away $2. That said, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you found that useful. Hopefully you found some of this interesting. That's all I got for you. So thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I appreciate all the support. Go check out the memberships. I'm making sure I'm dropping at least a membership video or two going from the watch list ahead of New Comic Wednesday, and then doing my own little version of the top 10 with my top 10 and 10 after. Usually on Thursdays, just to, you know, get ahead of some of the other ones, because I don't want it to be mixed in. I just want to go off of things that I'm looking at. So if you're interested in that, go check out the memberships, go sign up. Also have some pickups and some other little side videos, some insider things, some insider info. Marco giving you some behind the scenes talk on cons and things like that too. So if you're interested, go check it out. Also have the shorts hitting every day at noon. Check those out too. Those are fun to make. I like the cover runs and giving you a couple of big dollar sales and some toy stuff. They're just kind of fun to make. So it's only a minute or less. Just go check them out. Go check them out. Give them a thumbs up if you like them. Let me know some stuff like that you might want to see more of, and I'll work it in there. Because like I said, it doesn't take a lot of work to do those. It's just kind of fun. I just kind of like doing it. And with that all said, make sure you come back tonight for a live edition of Mail Call Madness with Jedi and Dom for their 30th episode. Are going to go live once again. So join them in the chat. Have some fun hanging out with the boys. If you like live shows, come back tomorrow on for Saturday for a Saturday night special. Those guys will be doing their the beginning for round one of their March Madness bracket for the adult cartoon shows. So it's like not kiddie cartoon shows, but more like, you know, the things will be on like Cartoon Network, you know, late at night, those types of shows. Some fun, cool stuff. Make sure you're checking it out, how you can enter, because they will be giving away a prize for anybody who gets a perfect bracket. So go check that out. Hit up Kyle, hit up Matt on IG to find out some more before tomorrow's show. And then Tales from the Dark Side live on Sunday here. And then come Monday, start all the shows all over again. Mix in some more fun stuff. We'll have Hidden Gems. I'll have Chasing Ghosts back. We'll Attack Show again next Wednesday. See if I can get a video game, mixed in there, maybe a toy show here or there. I'm just having fun. I got a lot of ideas, got a lot of content that I'd love to put out, just not enough time in the day. But I'm doing my best. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. Let me know more of the stuff you do want to see so I focus my energies there. And with that all said, I'll see you guys later. All right, bye.